Hello everyone and welcome to another News Coolum video, another plug side chat. Uh, in this video, I wanted to talk about a subject that I haven't really been that transparent about in this channel, but it's my motives. And I've mentioned this in comments, I've talked about this a little bit, but I'm basically done with fossil fuels for me personally. So uh, in addition to the Volt EV, I still own a first generation Volt and an F-150, which is clearly not electric in any way. And but those two vehicles are basically the last of what I'm going to do in terms of fossil fuels, dealing with it. I've also started transitioning things like tools and whatnot away from any sort of internal combustion engine or fossil fuel support. Now, the reason for it though, and there are many reasons why people make these transitions, but for me, I do have a principal reason for why I'm doing it, and it it's essentially it's self-reliance, right? And and the reason for that is it's a principle that I've sort of grown up with, and that you have to be able to take care of yourself and take care of your needs. And really, it's a principle that the United States itself was founded on, right? And we've had great thinkers from the past. The forefathers were very much influenced by this principle. You know, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, a, a lot of prominent figures throughout uh, American history have sort of pushed this concept forward. And now I don't mean to approach this in the sense of anti-society, right? Because that's not necessarily what self-reliance means. It does mean that you can take care of your own needs, but needs are very minimal, right? It doesn't mean that you forego operating within a society, and it needs to be taken within reason, right? You still want a social structure. There's always there's degrees of acceptability in everything, right? Including things like socialism, where uh, most people agree that we should have a fire department. Most people agree that we should have EMT services and things of that nature, right? So those are all sort of socialist programs because you're operating in a society where it's much easier to share resources with those types of things because nobody can really operate completely 100% independently. But self reliance does sort of promote the concept of being able to take care of as much of your needs as you can possibly take care of. And the reason why electric vehicles fit into that, and this is both on a personal level, but also on a national level, on a sort of macro level, we right now as a country in the United States consume far more energy than we produce, right? And that puts us in a position where we're dependent on other people. We're dependent on other countries. We have to overextend ourselves in many ways just to ensure that we have enough energy and fuel to keep our country running. And so when you look at on a personal level, if each and every citizen uh, were capable of producing the energy that they consume on a daily basis. They're capable of producing the energy required for transportation because transportation really is a daily need. And so if you have the ability to cover your daily needs without needing to rely on someone else, that's sort of core concept of self-reliance. It puts you in a much stronger uh, position, bargaining position, if you will, when you're negotiating for the things that you don't necessarily need, right? So It's sort of the wants and desires versus needs. And I think this goes beyond, again, just transportation. This goes beyond just electric vehicles. It goes into thinking about how we as a society and we as individuals within our society are told that we should be saving for retirement, right? Everything is monetary. That if you have enough money in your bank account, well, then you can pay for anything that you need. Yeah, but then you're still so dependent on other people. You're dependent on the actual financial system itself. And if you look at transportation as a core fundamental need, if you look at heating and cooling your home, shelter is a fundamental need. My property, we have our own well, so we produce our own water, but that well runs on electricity, right? So you're dependent right now on the grid, but we put in a battery backup system, we put in solar panels, we put in a wind turbine, we no longer are, right? So now eventually those things might break, right? An electric car could break, the battery could die, the electronics could die. And yeah, you would still need to rely on someone else, but you're really mitigating the amount and the level to which you rely on other people. And so that for me is the sort of core reason why I've made this transition. I basically just don't want to have to rely on others. And now you can look at things like the public charging infrastructure, you're relying on that, right? Yeah, but again, if I take a long trip uh, to visit, Bryce Canyon in Utah, well, I might be relying on the public charging network to get there, but is that trip to Bryce actually a need, or is it again one of those things where it's a desire or a want, and I'm negotiating basically the terms to do that? So again, we're still operating in a society, and again, there's a difference between wants and needs. But just for me personally, the way I've been raised, my personal philosophical beliefs, I believe that we should all be as self-reliant as we can possibly be. I can shelter myself, I can feed myself, I can defend myself, uh, and all within reason, right? Yet I still choose to operate within society because we are a functioning society. But I think it's important to recognize that there are levels of dependency, and the more and more you can reduce your dependency on others to provide you with your needs, the better you are at negotiating for things that you don't need. Like I said, a stronger position economically. And I think just in life, it makes you a better person, and it makes you better able to contribute back to society. It makes you better able to support other members of society locally, or, in an extended way that might need your help or assistance, right? So so those are my sort of primary reasons. Like I said, other people have other reasons for going electric, and I'm not going to knock those. And yes, we just had the one of the hottest Mays on record for the lower 48 states. Our climate is changing very, very rapidly. Uh, and so there are environmental issues. As someone who's lost loved ones to pulmonary diseases and COPD, I know that particulate matter and pollution that results from things like internal combustion engine vehicles and burning fossil fuels is something that we need to abate. As someone who's very active in the environment, I've seen how our ocean is changing. I've seen how species that used to be prevalent aren't there anymore, and they've been replaced by other species that don't really belong in the region. I've seen wildfires burn more and more and more acres than they've ever burned before. I've seen how the wildlife and the biodiversity is affected. So all of these things are major issues as well. But I feel like for me personally, the primary issue is if I can take care of myself first, it makes me better equipped to take care of all of those other things. Anyway, so that's a little bit more, I guess, personal and a little bit maybe less electric vehicle focused, but kind of renewable energy and electric vehicle focused. But I just kind of wanted to share with you guys what my motivations are and what my reasoning is and what my sort of primary driving force is. I'm curious what you guys think, why you're drawn to electric vehicles if you are, or why you're drawn to renewable energy sources. What you think about retirement through monetary means or through what I would consider non-monetary wealth. Anyway, yeah, just let me know what you think. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to say. And as always, thank you for watching.